Ladies and gentlemen, let me ask you something. How many of you wake up hoping life will suddenly get easier? The truth is it won't, nothing ever does. But what if I told you the secret isn't waiting for ease, it's becoming unstoppable? It's not the world that changes, it's you. Every challenge, every setback, every failure isn't meant to break you. It's meant to make you stronger, sharper, better. Tonight, I'm going to show you why nothing gets easier, but why you, if you commit, can get better than you ever imagined. Imagine waking up every day expecting the world to hand you success on a silver platter. Now, pause and think about that for a moment. Life doesn't work that way. Nothing ever gets easier. The assignments, the challenges, the setbacks, they don't magically vanish. The difference between those who succeed and those who falter is not that life suddenly got simpler. It's that they got better. They adapted, they learned, they grew, and they kept moving forward even when everything inside them screamed to quit. When we say get better, it's not just about skill or talent, it's about mindset. It's about showing up consistently even when the odds are stacked against you. It's about refining your approach, learning from failure, and refusing to let mistakes define you. Every obstacle, every moment of discomfort is a chance to stretch your limits and sharpen your capabilities. You start to see that the discomfort isn't something to avoid. It's something to embrace because it signals growth. We live in a world obsessed with shortcuts, instant results, and overnight success, but lasting success isn't found in a shortcut. It's found in the persistence to keep going when the process feels grueling. You don't wait for the conditions to be perfect. You build yourself to thrive in any conditions. You practice, you reflect, and you push the boundaries of what you thought was possible. And slowly, almost imperceptibly, the tasks that once seemed impossible no longer intimidate you. Every time you fail, every time you stumble, you gain insight, you gain resilience, you gain confidence. And over time, these small, consistent gains compound into a profound transformation. That's what it means to get better. That's why it may feel like life never gets easier, because life isn't meant to get easier. It's meant to stretch you, challenge you, and demand more from you. And every time you rise to the challenge, you don't just survive, you evolve. You begin to realize that your past struggles were never wasted. They were the stepping stones to a stronger, wiser, more capable version of yourself. Nothing changes overnight, but every day you invest in growth, in learning, in resilience, you make the impossible feel possible. You understand that the weight of challenges never lightens. You do. And that is the most powerful truth you can carry forward. And here's the truth most people never face. The journey to getting better is uncomfortable, it is grueling. It tests every ounce of patience, every shred of determination you thought you had. When you push yourself beyond what feels easy, beyond what feels safe, that's when growth happens. The human mind resists change, it resists challenge, it resists the hard work of improvement. But those who embrace discomfort, who lean into the struggle instead of avoiding it, are the ones who rise above the ordinary. They don't wait for inspiration. They create it through relentless effort, through discipline, through a refusal to settle for mediocrity. Think about the moments in your life when you felt most tested. Perhaps it was a project that seemed impossible, a deadline that felt crushing, or a personal goal that required more than you thought you had. In those moments, the task itself wasn't easier than before, but if you look back, you'll realize that you were stronger than before. You were smarter, more resilient, more capable. That's the essence of getting better. The world doesn't shift to accommodate you, you shift to meet the world. You sharpen your skills, you strengthen your mindset, you expand your capacity. This principle doesn't just apply to work or skill, it applies to life itself. Relationships, personal growth, emotional resilience, all of these arenas demand the same commitment to improvement. You can't avoid conflict, failure, or challenge and expect to grow. You learn to navigate difficult conversations because you've practiced patience and empathy. You learn to overcome setbacks because you've built mental toughness. You learn to take responsibility for your choices because you understand that growth begins within, not in the circumstances around you. And here's the subtle magic of it. The more you get better, the more momentum you create. What once took enormous effort begins to feel manageable, not because the task has changed, but because you have. Your perspective changes, your confidence grows, your ability to adapt, to persevere, to innovate strengthens. You begin to anticipate challenges before they arise, and you approach them with clarity instead of fear. The world may never become easier, but you become someone who can handle it with precision, with courage, with grace. Every small improvement compounds into something extraordinary over time. Each day you commit to learning, practicing, pushing past limits. You are building a version of yourself that can take on more, achieve more, and endure more than you ever thought possible. The obstacles remain, but your capacity to overcome them expands. That is the gift of relentless improvement. It doesn't remove difficulty. It removes the limits within yourself, and suddenly what once felt impossible starts to feel inevitable. And as you continue on this path of relentless growth, you begin to notice something profound. Failure loses its power over you. The fear that once paralyzed your decisions begins to fade, replaced by a quiet confidence that comes from knowing you've faced challenges before, and you've overcome them. Each obstacle becomes a teacher rather than an enemy. Each setback becomes a lesson rather than a defeat. You stop avoiding difficulty, and instead you start seeking it, because you understand that every struggle is an opportunity to stretch, to refine, and to prove to yourself that you are capable of more than you imagined. Growth isn't linear. There will be days when progress feels invisible, when effort seems futile, when you question whether the work is worth it. Those are the moments that define you. Those are the moments when character is forged, when resilience is tested, when determination solidifies into habit. The difference between someone who gets better and someone who doesn't is not the absence of hardship, it's the willingness to persist despite it. It's showing up when no one is watching, when results are slow, when the path forward feels uncertain. That is where transformation truly happens, and over time you start to see a pattern. What once required monumental effort now requires only discipline and focus. What once felt insurmountable now feels like a challenge you can meet with strategy and preparation. You begin to anticipate problems, to think several steps ahead, to respond rather than react. You start to realize that your capacity is far greater than your fears, and your potential far exceeds your doubts. This isn't luck, it isn't a sudden stroke of genius. It's the accumulation of consistent effort, day after day, challenge after challenge, failure after failure, until suddenly the person you were yesterday cannot compete with the person you've become today. And here's the most liberating truth: the world doesn't owe you ease, comfort, or simplicity. But it does offer opportunity to those who are ready to rise to it. The tasks don't get easier, the people don't change, and the circumstances rarely bend in your favor. What changes is you. You become sharper, stronger, wiser, more capable. You become someone who can endure pressure, navigate complexity, and thrive where others stumble. You begin to recognize that every moment of struggle, every ounce of effort, every sleepless night and early morning was not a burden, it was preparation. Preparation for a life where challenges don't defeat you, they define you. The journey is relentless, and the lessons are constant, but each step forward compounds. You start to live a life where obstacles are no longer barriers, they are invitations. Invitations to demonstrate your growth, to showcase your resilience, to prove to yourself that nothing, and I mean nothing, can break the momentum of someone committed to getting better every single day. And as you continue to embrace this journey, you start to understand a deeper truth. Growth is not just about overcoming external challenges. It is about mastering yourself. It's about the choices you make in the quiet moments when no one is watching, the decisions you take when there is no applause, the discipline you summon when motivation fades. It's in those moments that you truly get better. The tasks themselves never change, but your ability to meet them transforms. You become someone who can operate under pressure, who can make clear decisions amidst chaos, who can persist when everything in your environment is designed to make you quit. Every day becomes a practice in self-mastery. You learn to manage your emotions, to regulate your responses, to act with intention rather than reaction. You realize that complaining, blaming, or waiting for circumstances to improve only delays progress. You take ownership of your outcomes. You embrace responsibility not as a burden, but as the path to freedom, because the more you can control your actions, the less control the world has over you. This is the essence of getting better. It's not luck, it's not chance, it's the deliberate, conscious effort to improve yourself relentlessly, no matter what life throws at you. And the irony of it is, as you get better, the very obstacles that once felt insurmountable start to feel like opportunities. The more you practice resilience, the more you practice patience, the more you practice focus, the more you realize that challenges are not threats, they are invitations. They invite you to stretch, to evolve, to become a version of yourself you didn't think was possible. You start to see that difficulty is not the enemy of progress, it is the catalyst, the friction, the resistance, the struggle. These are what forge strength, wisdom, and character. You also begin to understand the power of consistency. Talent alone will never carry you. Inspiration alone will never sustain you. It is the accumulation of small, deliberate actions repeated over time that compounds into extraordinary results. Each effort builds on the last, each lesson learned strengthens your foundation, each moment of discomfort becomes a stepping stone toward mastery. What once took hours of struggle eventually takes minutes. What once seemed impossible eventually becomes routine. Not because the task has changed, but because you have. And with that realization comes confidence, not arrogance, not complacency, but a quiet, unshakable confidence in your ability to face whatever comes next. You know that the world will never get easier, that challenges will never disappear, that life will never pause for your comfort. But you also know that you are capable, you are prepared, you are ready. You have cultivated the skill, the mindset, and the resilience to not just survive, but to thrive. You are living proof that nothing gets easier because life isn't meant to be easy, but you do get better, stronger, sharper, and unstoppable with every step forward.